What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. We are here for our Week 11 predictions for the Premier League 2019-2020 season. What a week it has been for Week 10. Before we get into that, I want to give a massive thank you to all of you for all the support on the videos lately, the support on the channel. We've been growing a huge amount, which is insane. So please do remember to smash the like button. Let's see if we can reach 100 likes on this video. And I do want to give a special shout out to A2VM, who left their comment on the previous video for their predictions for Week 10 and the results in those fixtures. And there were some funny ones in there, including Southampton to beat Leicester 4-1 and Norwich to beat Man United 12-0, as he is a self-confessed Norwich fan. That comment did just make me smile. So if you want to get featured in the next episode of the Premier League predictions, then leave your comments down in the comments below after you've left a like on the video. Now, before we get into Week 11, it is time to look back at our Week 10 predictions. I didn't do too badly, so let's have a little look. First game, I predicted Leicester to beat Southampton 2-1. Away from home. Yes, the red card played a little part in the game, but not 9-0. Not that much of a part. Maybe a 3-0 would have been better for a team that's, you know, down to 10 men, 1-0 down in the first 15, 3 or 4-0, but 9-0 is ridiculous. Man City versus Aston Villa, I predicted a 4-0 win to Man City. It was a 3-0 win, so pretty close there. Brighton versus Everton, I predicted a 1-1 draw, and it was a 3-2 win to Brighton, thanks to a fantastic strike by Luca Digne into his own net. Watford Bournemouth, I predicted a 2-1 win to Watford, and they still can't get a win. That one ended in 0-0. West Ham Sheffield United, I predicted a 1-0 win to West Ham. It was a 1-1 draw, so Sheffield United continuing their decent away form in the Premier League. Burnley versus Chelsea, I predicted a 2-2 draw, but the firepower of Chelsea was enough to see out the win quite soon enough, and they won the game 4-2, and 2 late goals came from Burnley, of course. Newcastle versus Wolves, I predicted a 2-1 away win to Wolves, and it was a 1-1 draw. The next game, Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. I predicted a 3-2 win to Arsenal. First of all, if you don't know, it ended in 2-2. But someone show me where and why it was fair to disallow Arsenal's third goal. As soon as the alert came up on Sky Sports, because Liverpool was on the TV and I was watching it with my dad, it said 3-2 Arsenal. I was like, what a prediction that was. That was a great prediction for Arsenal. And like I said before many times, Arsenal was the team I predicted correct way more than any other team last year in terms of perfect scores. And that 3-2 is not a common scoreline to predict and get it right. And I watched the highlights back and it just should have been a goal. I know I'm biased essentially, but I just feel like it should have been. But it was 2-2, so as you can tell, I'm a little bit butthurt on that one. Liverpool versus Tottenham, I predicted Liverpool to win 3-1. They won 2-1. And Manchester United versus, or Norwich versus Manchester United, I should say. I predicted United to get their first away win in the league for a very long time. I predicted them to win 2-0, and they actually won 3-1. So, all in all, a pretty good week. No successes in terms of perfect scores, but my results, and even if not the result, the way the game panned out was very similar to what I predicted it to be in Week 10. So let's hope for some more success in Week 11, kicking it off with Manchester United travelling away to Bournemouth in the lunchtime kickoff. And I think, I do think this is a little bit of a turning period for Manchester United. They managed to beat Partizan Belgrade away from home, playing very badly. And they managed to beat Norwich away from home, deservedly so. And I think they can just carry this on into the game against Bournemouth, and that is just because I feel like Bournemouth are struggling a little bit. I believe they've had back-to-back 0-0 draws with Watford, bottom of the league, and Norwich at home. So I believe that's 20th and 19th Bournemouth have played in the previous 2 weeks, both of which have been a 0-0 draw, and they've struggled to find the back of the net. So I think Manchester United, I think Bournemouth are going to go for it still against Man United, and I think they will finally get a goal. But I think Man United are going to get another away win, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Manchester United in this fixture. Now, the next one is Arsenal up against Wolves. And to be honest, with the teams like Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, you kind of think if they're on a bit of a bad run of form, they've drawn a few games or lost a few games, you think you can quite often predict a win because you think they're just going to bounce back. They're going to have to bounce back. But from what I've seen with Arsenal, even when they started as close to the perfect lineup last week as they have done this season, obviously there's you want Bellerin in there. You'd argue you might want Ozil in there, especially instead of Xhaka, please, or Torreira even. But other than that, it was pretty much what you'd want as an Arsenal fan. It was a positive lineup to look at, and they still threw away a 2-0 lead despite the controversy. So part of me's like, surely Arsenal are going to win, but then part of me's thinking Wolves are on the way back up. They're in really good form. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this fixture. I'm not predicting this. I am, in a way. I hope Arsenal can prove me wrong, but I'm not predicting it in this way with the hopes that Arsenal prove me wrong, like I did for the Sheffield game where Arsenal also lost. But I do hope Arsenal do win, but I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw in this one. The next game is Aston Villa up against Liverpool. Now, Villa didn't look... They looked okay against Manchester City in the first half, and they did keep them at bay, but as soon as City came out the gates in the second half, Villa looked shot to pieces. And I think although they are going to be at home in this game, I think Liverpool are definitely going to have too much for them. I think Villa are going to be able to score, so I'm going to go for another Liverpool 3-1 win for this fixture. The next game is Brighton up against Norwich, and straight away I am going to predict Brighton to win this one. Certainly last season it is not a result I predicted very often, and I remember the one time I did predict a Brighton win last year, it didn't happen either. But I am going to go for a Brighton win in this one. Norwich, ever since they beat Manchester City, really, not that the two are necessarily related or correlate in any way, it's just kind of funny that it's turned out that way. Norwich haven't looked that great, and Timo Pukki's goals have dried up. The race for the Golden Boot seems to be over for him realistically. So I'm going to go for a Brighton 2-0 win. And although I've said some negative things about Norwich, it has to be said that Brighton are actually playing much better this season than they played last season. I believe I had Brighton to finish 20th in the Premier League this season, but at the moment it looks like they will be around for another year. So I do think Brighton will win this one 2-0. Now the next fixture is Manchester City up against Southampton. Southampton receiving the biggest home Premier League defeat of all time, it's just ridiculous. And I saw a meme where it basically said the Southampton coach must have been like, all right boys, we'll count that one as a one-off. Let's dust it off and pick ourselves back up for next week. Who have we got? And their next two fixtures are against Manchester City at the Etihad in the League Cup and the Premier League. So it doesn't look good for Southampton, and I'm going to go for a 5-0 win to Manchester City. Southampton look shot to pieces. I predicted Southampton to finish 17th in the league this year, and I got loads of stick in the comments. You can go back and look at that video. A lot of people saying that I predicted Southampton way too low and they should be like 11th or 12th. They'd be lucky to get 17th at this rate. So I'm going to go for a 5-0 win to Manchester City in that one. The next one, the resilient as always Sheffield United against the equally resilient Burnley. And notice how I said equal, because I do believe these teams will be able to cancel each other out. Burnley have been playing fairly well. Sheffield United have been playing fairly well as well, and considering how well people thought they were going to play, myself included, they're playing very well. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw in the fixture between Sheffield United and Burnley. The next game is West Ham up against Newcastle. Now, in the previous week, West Ham, they drew with Sheffield United, which they'll probably be a little bit disappointed with, and Newcastle drew with Wolves at home, especially with taking the lead. Maybe they'll be a bit disappointed with that. They were the two 1-1 fixtures last week, but I think West Ham, they're due a win. I think they are going to win this one at home, and I'm going to go for a very, very tight game though, a very close one. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to West Ham in this fixture. Now, the next one is struggling Watford. They can't buy a win. They haven't won since last season against Chelsea. And I'm going to go for a Chelsea win in this one. I believe they've made it 7 wins in all competitions now. 7 straight wins in all competitions. This is before the Carabao Cup game against Manchester United. I don't know how that one's going to turn out. But I do think they'll be able to take advantage of Watford's poor form. And it just looks a bit dark for Watford, doesn't it? So I'm going to go for a 3-1 Chelsea away win in this fixture. The next one, Crystal Palace in 6th place up against Leicester in 3rd place, and I'm going for a very similar game to the Arsenal Palace game, and I think it's going to be high scoring, very much like the Southampton Leicester game. I'm going to go just throw it out there. I don't see this as a 4-2 as strong as I did when I predicted Man City to beat Atalanta 4-2, which ended 5-1 in the end, but I do see it being high scoring in a Leicester win, so I'm going to go for a 4-2 away win to Leicester. Now, the final fixture on this list is Everton up against Tottenham. Now, Everton, man, what can you do? You see them go 2-1 up away from home against Brighton, and you think, okay, they're starting to look okay, they're playing well, and then they just throw it away and they lose 3-2 to Brighton, taking 0 points. They're right near the bottom of the league, and it's not looking good. It really does look like Marco Silva will be the next one to go. And to be honest, actually, I don't know if it'll be this fixture though, because I think Tottenham, they're having a bit of a tough time. They played okay against Liverpool, but like they did play all right. They played better against Liverpool than Man United did. It's just that Liverpool played way better against Tottenham than they did against Manchester United. But I think Tottenham are going to win this one, but I think it's going to be close, because Goodison Park isn't necessarily an easy place to travel to, despite Everton's woeful form, I think it's going to be a tough one. And Tottenham haven't won an away Premier League game since, like, January. Is that right? Am I making that statistic up? But if that is the case, this is quite an out there prediction, and I don't even know why I'm predicting it. I think almost because it's against the odds. Like, with Tottenham's form, the fact they never win away and Everton are much better at home, it just screams draw. But for some reason, I'm just going to say a Tottenham win. Because maybe as an Arsenal fan, then at least if they do win, at least I'm right with that. So I'm going to go for a Tottenham 2-1 away win. But keep your eyes peeled on that game because I think it's going to be a very, very entertaining one. So that is going to do it for the Week 11 fixtures. If you did enjoy it, like I said at the start of the video, please do leave a like while you're on your way down to the comments to leave your predictions for the Week 11 games for a chance to be shouted out in the Premier League Week 12 predictions video. So yes, that is going to do it. Subscribe today if you haven't already. Turn on the bell so you don't miss a single video. And I will see you in the next one very soon.